Hey guys, PretzelMan945 here. Welcome back to another video. And welcome to my review of an anime that I just finished. Which is Soul Eater, which I've been watching for about the past month, I want to say. Like, yeah, I think approximately a month is a good time frame to say that. Um, I just finished it about like 20 minutes ago ish. Um and Yeah, I'm going to talk about it in this video. Um Soul Eater is a great show. It's very simple, very basic, but it's very good shonen to me. Battle shonen. Um I where do I start this? There's a lot to talk about with Soul Eater. I'm trying to think about where I want to start. I really liked. Okay, I know. So possibly my favorite thing overall about Soul Eater is that and I sort of knew this I think even God, my mic is stuck. There we go. Um, I think I sort of had this idea long before I even watched the show, just from what I heard people talk about. But Joker has this very distinct sort of cool vibe to it. It's very hard to describe. But everything about the way the characters are designed, the way they act, the sort of atmosphere of Death City and all the characters' mannerisms and specifically the detail of the way that the sun and moon are designed, which in my opinion is the coolest sun and moon design in any anime. It's look like both of them are so unique and interesting, and I love that they're very aggressive and they laugh and stuff like that. I don't know why, but I couldn't get enough of that detail. And I think that specific detail in particular, along with everything else I mentioned, is the key to creating this very cool vibe that Soul Eater has, which just makes it a lot of fun to watch. Um, Again, it's very hard to describe, but hopefully that makes sense. Um, And, part of the thing that also makes that vibe cool is the fact that Soul Eater has really cool lore and power, has a really cool power system and a lore to it. So, the whole idea of souls, it's relatively basic. A lot of different famous battle shonens use that concept in some way. But I honestly the thing about Soul Eater is that it's one of the best cases to me where you can say it's simple but it works. Because um the power system really is quite simple. It's just you have the Meisters who wield these weapons, and the weapons consume souls of bad people and stuff to become stronger and whatnot. With the ultimate goal to defeat a witch, to consume the witch's soul, which will allow you to become a death scythe, which is like the ultimate sort of goal. Um and that simplicity, it works really well because it's Soul Eater as a show is not a uh universe that really needed a particularly complicated power system like alchemy or something, which is needed in Fullmetal Alchemist because of the very complex plot, or something like Nen, which is a simple concept on the surface but has a lot of depth to it. Like, there's um I can't even really say there's depth to the power system in Soul Eater because it doesn't really need it. It's a simple basic power system that works and it's cool. It's easy to understand, and what a simple power system like Soul Eater has allows it to do is it really is able to focus a lot more on the lore aspect, which is really cool. Like, you know, showing the history of um uh like some flashbacks to what Death was Lord Death was like in his prime. Um like explaining what a Teachkin is, the lore of Arachne and some of the other witches and stuff like that. Um uh and like the way that those relationships tie together is just really cool. Let me saying that word a lot because like again, as I talk about the whole vibe thing, that's kind of what everything in this show sort of gave off, and that's what I really liked about it. Okay, moving on to characters. So Maka and Soul, they're the main duo, and I think the idea that Soul got black blood was really interesting, and I think that that made for some albeit basic if but interesting moments with his character in terms of like the back and forth of like control over himself and the role that Maka helped play in that. And also like Maka's strength as a person, and the way that that interacted with Soul's uh sort of battle for himself was just really nice. It's a very simple and nice dynamic. Beth the Kid is just a very like he's the epitome of the vibe thing I was talking about because he's just the cool character, so to speak. Like he the son of death, which is a really interesting concept for a character. And I think that the dynamic between him and his dad and like um the sort of like way that um the trust between them develops is to a very satisfying degree, and by the end it really feels like there was meaningful progress made in terms of like the amount of trust they have towards each other and what they are willing to share with one another. um uh now I mean, regarding his partners, there isn't really as much to say because, to be honest, uh, I'm, um, I'm not even Liz and Patty. That were their names. Um, Neither of them are really get that much character development. They're mostly there for comedic relief, which they do quite well. But my favorite of the three duos on the main team is Black Star and Subaki. Um, I love Black Star's energy. I honestly think it is quite an achievement that Black Star as a character, like his whole thing about like being the best and lording that over everybody. Um, I don't know how other people feel about this. Like, if other people find that that gets annoying, but for me, I thought it was actually quite an achievement that I did not find that annoying across the whole course of the show. There was something about it that just had this like uh crazy amount of charm to it, which made it enjoyable to see and it never got old for me. And Subaki has this quite interesting arc of like being able like they both have to do something to prove themselves, which the way that that works and the way they help each other do that is great. And then Subaki having to like deal with the whole enchanted sword thing. That episode is really what made them my favorite of the main team from the get-go because um Tsubaki and like the whole confronting her brother as like part of the same weapon family was a really interesting idea. And the fact that that was the core around Black Star's development and his power-ups and like his relationship and that relationship to his fights against Mifune throughout the series were really interesting. Uh, who Mifune was also an interesting character too, like the sort of reluctant protector samurai type, very simple character type, but one that was done in a cool way. Uh, once again, the trend of this video with Soul Eater, simple but cool. Um, and what else do I want to talk about next? Okay. I think I'm gonna talk about my favorite character now. Which I don't know this for sure, but vibes guessing I want to say this is like an unpopular pick for favorite Soul Eater character, and that is Dr. Stein. Um, now from the beginning, I thought it was interesting his sort of title as this, as like the strongest Meister in the entire Academy's history. Uh, that I immediately found to be a very interesting detail, and his introduction, very early on when the kids go when the main team goes and fights him was super hype and the way that he used like and was able to use the concept of soul to like pretty effortlessly fight them without his own weapon was just really freaking cool. And he's a cool mentor character throughout the entire thing. But then after the halfway point, after his fight with Medusa, you introduce this aspect of him slowly succumbing to madness and see him fight against that just makes his character extremely compelling to me. Um and like, his the sheer struggles that he has to go through and then like seeing the reluctance of Krona to have to do that to Marie, who cares about him, but who actually ends up making the problem worse because she has one of Medusa's madness-inducing snakes inside her. And like all this culminating to his like supposed betrayal, even though he didn't really have control over his own actions to Medusa's side, and then his subsequent redemption was just all fantastic. Like that episode, what was it, episode 41, I think? The one where it's most of the episode and it's just him in his madness hallucinations. That's one of the best episodes in the entire show. 'Cause, like, the focus on it and the difficulty to even tell as a viewer, like, what parts are his madness and what parts are actually real, it's, like, impossible to tell, and it is extremely effective, storytelling and development for his character, and his development also feels very satisfying, and Marie is just a very simple, nice character that does a great job of getting that done. Um, my second favorite character, and easily my favorite of the children characters, is Krona. Um, he's introduced as like the servant of Medusa, only later we find out that they're mother and son, which is just an extremely fucked up dynamic, which defines their entire relationship. But like, his initial redemption halfway through the show, at the first climax, when the Kishin awakens, uh, that was really nice. It was a really nice moment, that whole thing on the beach. It was like this very wholesome and very nice character development. Um, and then like, he has to, and then like the second half of the show is him like really learning to stand up for himself um and not succumb to his mother's cruel wishes, and learning to really trust in his friends. Which again, super simple character arc, but it's done really darn well. Um, um, uh, yeah, I mean, I lost my train of thought there for a second. Um, it's kind of late. Um, and then like the whole thing with his self-sacrifice being the ultimate culmination of that, which is really great. I thought that Krona was just a compelling character the entire time. Um, and I'll lead that into talking about the villains. Arachne was extremely basic, to be completely honest. Like there wasn't a whole lot there with Arachne. She was mostly just like kind of there for a revenge plot, but then also Arachne was a extreme nothing burger of a villain, and it was perfectly fine because she didn't really need to be anything more than that. Okay, I had to go get some water real quick. Um, now I guess the next villain probably worth talking about is the Kishin itself. So it's obviously only introduced halfway through the show, but it does get a lot of build up as like a serious threat, and it's a good sort of evolution on the concept of what Kishins are, having been previously introduced in the lore of Soul Eater. Um, and he's sort of good at like this he's sort of good at this like chaotic antagonist role, and and I think that his whole shtick about like being this emotion it like trying to be emotionless and know everything and eliminate fear in all aspects with an interesting angle, so to speak. So I mean, the Kishin is a extremely basic but serviceable villain, and then the main villain, uh, who is clearly the star of the show as far as villains go, is Medusa, who is an extremely simple villain, and yet wonderfully over the top entertaining. Like, she is an evil witch named Medusa. This is like as basic of a over the top villain as you can possibly get. Like, she is just hilariously comically evil. And it's just very satisfying to see her brought down. Her relationship with Krona, and like how she's just a very bad mother figure, like makes her very dislikable. Um, and yeah, just extremely simple villain, and yet it works very well. Um, Uh, what else does it make think also I wanted to talk about with Sawyer? Yes. So to be honest, the one issue that I had with Soul Eater as a show, uh, is something that can be attributed, to it being a late 2000s battle shonen show. And that's the fact that, there and I should say this is not like a huge issue. It's sort of hard to describe. It's like a small to medium sized issue, but one that I also can't blame the show for that much because it didn't exactly hinder my enjoyment of the show that much. And what I'm talking about is the fact that there are a lot of moments throughout the entire show. It is not just dedicated to a specific part of the show. There are a lot of moments throughout the show where um there's just a severe lack of stake. Um, and when or like a comedic gag that or there's also like a lot of moments that either drastically lessen the stakes in a scene, or there will be like a comedic gag which instantly cuts the tension, like butter being cut by a knife. Um, and again, it's not that big of a problem because in general, didn't hinder the enjoyment of this show that I had too much. But it was in enough moments throughout the show to where it was very much a noticeable thing, and to where it caused me to kind of roll my eyes sometimes, go like, okay, okay, come on, like really, sometimes, uh that was really the extent of it. And you know uh yeah, I mean that's really all there is to say. There were just a lot of scenes that felt like they unnecessarily cut the tension in stake, from certain moments, which kind of lessened the momentum of certain moments in this show for me. But again, not a very big problem that I had personally. Um, and yeah, on the whole, I really enjoyed this show. Oh, sorry. One more thing I need to touch on before the video ends. Um, so I obviously watched the anime. I have not read the manga for Soul Eater. I have heard a lot of people tell me that the ending to the manga is much better, and they apparently went in an anime original direction, which not a lot of people like. Um, I have not read the manga. I don't know what is different about the manga ending that a lot of people like better. But regarding the anime's ending, I thought it was just fine. It's like the most safe generic ending ever, which I don't really have a huge problem with because like the sort of final act of the show was just really awesome with like uh all the like fighting going on, and the battles and stuff, and the fact that like uh Death City became a fucking mobile robot, which is really cool. Like all that stuff in the final act of the show, which is really cool. Where the ending itself being very safe didn't really bother me that much. I'm just like perfectly neutral on it because it's the most generic ending possible, but I don't really think it's Um, so yeah, I just wanted to touch on that note real quick. But on the whole, I really, really enjoyed Solier, and uh, you know, as I talked about in this video, I definitely got an idea for what the title is going to be because Solier is truly one of the best examples of simple but good that I've ever seen. Um, as could probably be made clear by the amount of times that I repeated that phrase, not really intentionally, just as my way of describing um, my opinions about the show. But yeah, um, let me know what you think of Soul Eater down in the comments below. If there is anyone so inclined, maybe someone could explain the differences in the manga ending because I don't exactly feel interested enough myself to look it up. But if someone wants to, feel free to explain the differences, and I will read the comment and express my thoughts on that. Uh, or if you don't want to do that, just let me know what you think of Soul Eater in general. If you watched it, let me know what you think of it. And yeah, for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.